When you're ordering decimals, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the directions. So sometimes their directions are going to ask you to order least to greatest. Sometimes they're going to ask you to order greatest to least. So make sure you're paying attention to the directions. Here's an example one where you're going to be asked to order from least to greatest, right? Here's the original problem. So one way to do this would be to do what we did in the last video with comparing decimals and tie things that are the same, all right? So in the ones place, I have a 0, and an 8. The 8 is different. That automatically tells me that 8 is bigger than both of those. So I know I would want to put that last as my last position in the greatest. Now I'm going to go back to these two. This one's done. I'm going to cross it off. I have now in the tens place an 8 and a 0. I know that 0 is smaller than 8, which means it has to go in the first position. So I'm done with that, meaning this has to go second. Another way you could solve this problem would be to think of it as money. That's always an easy way to do it. Let's look at example number 2. This time we're going greatest to least. So you could think of it as money in this case. This is $25.50. This is $24.90. This is $25.83. So we want to start with the biggest. The biggest amount of money would be $25.83. The next biggest would be $25.50. And then the least would be $24.90. Here's another example, example number 3. Sometimes you're going to see them where they have these letters, choices, all right? Least to greatest this time. So if you notice, they're all lined up. So this is another way to solve these types of ordering decimal problems, is lining them up on top of each other. So I have in the tens place, I have all 2s, so I can cross those off. In the ones place, I have all 7s. Now I look here and I see some different numbers. I see that these tie, and they're pretty small, so I'm going to save those for later. I know right off the bat between this 3 and this 8 that 8 is bigger than all of those, making out of all 4 choices, if I have to put these answers on the line, okay, I know that B is going to be the greatest. So I'm going to put it way down here. And I got rid of it. I eliminated it so I don't look at it again. Now I know that this 3 here would be in the third position because it's like the second biggest or third. So I would put A here. Now I'm back down to C and D. I need to know which one is going to be the smallest and which one is going to be the next biggest. So I've got a 2 and a 2 and they both tie. I've got a 6 and a 1. This 1 is smaller than the 6, meaning that the number in letter C has to be the smallest, which means D has to go second. So it's another way that you can solve it. So lining up the numbers on top of each other by place value position is one way to order decimals. Thinking about them as money is another way to order decimals. Using the tie method that we talked about in the comparing decimal video, looking at each place value. Just making sure you're paying attention to the directions, whether you're going least to greatest or greatest to least, is probably one of the most important parts, though. Just take your time.